What does it mean to be a high performer, and are you a high performer? These are some of the questions I'm going to be answering in today's video. I'm really excited about this topic because if I'm being honest, you have a distorted perception of what it means to be a high performer. And I mean that with all the love and the respect in the world because I used to also have a distorted perception, and I see this distorted perception of what it means to be a high performer like splashed and displayed all over social media. And we are all trying to achieve the wrong things when it comes to actually being a high performer in our life. We think that being a high performer or someone who is a high performer is someone who is, really unhealthy. They don't ever sleep, that all they do is work. They don't have any sort of social life, and they're definitely not having any sort of fun in their life. And we think that it's only the people who are able to sacrifice these things in life are the ones who are able to actually achieve at a really high level. And I want to change this perception up for you today because a high achiever isn't just someone who achieves and forgets everything else in their life, but a high performer is someone who consistently achieves at a high level, but feels good as they're doing it. And high performers don't just try to achieve success in their life. I mean, that is very important to them too. But over time, it's not just their success that increases, but also their well being. And I think that fact might surprise you a little bit because for a lot of us, we think that high performers are people who sacrifice everything in order to be successful and sacrifice especially their well-being. And I love this definition so much because it just proves to you and shows you that you cannot be a high performer if your well being is suffering, if you feel miserable. Like, make all the money in the world, be as successful as you want to be, but if you are miserable as you are doing it, you're not a high performer. And I think this is an important piece to emphasize is that having success, making money, achieving things doesn't necessarily make you a high performer because a high performer doesn't just achieve at an exceptional level, but they work on their well being at an exceptional level as well. And I think it's so important that you understand how to not just help yourself achieve goals, but also support your well being at the same time because becoming a high performer isn't a miserable journey. And if you feel miserable as you're doing it, then my friend, my buddy, my dear one, you are doing it wrong. So let's go through what are the components that really make someone be a high performer and define someone as a high performer. These are all tips and traits that I got from the book by Brendan Burchard called High Performance Habits. He is the world's #1 leading high performance coach. I would highly recommend you read that book so that you can get in tune and aligned with what are some of the things that you need to practice in your life so that you can become a high performer. And so that's the #1, right? It's not just the ability to get stuff done, but it's also about learning how to feel good and support yourself as you do it because people who achieve at high levels don't just create success, increasing levels of success over time, but they also cultivate an increasing sense of well being and consistency over time. So it's not just about achieving, it's also about feeling good and showing up in a way um, that is powerful, that helps you feel good about life. And I think that's, again, such a beautiful perspective to have when it comes to achieving because it just really reminds you that you can be happy, you can feel good while working towards your goals. Okay, let's keep moving through the things. So, another piece to take note of people who are high performers is that they don't do things in isolation. We again have this perception that people at the top, it's lonely at the top, you're like a lone wolf. And when we have this perception around being a high performer that we're going to be lonely, it sucks to be at the top, then we're just never going to want to achieve it. I know that this is a belief that I really had to dismantle in my life, thinking that if I got more successful, it meant that I'll have less friends and less time for the people around me. And don't get me wrong, I don't hang out with people 4 or 5 times a week. I'll maybe see a friend maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. And so the level at which I hang out with people has definitely changed, but I'm definitely not miserable as a result of it. I'm just spending a lot more time working on my business, making an impact in the world. And truthfully, I do love spending time with my friends, but this stuff, like me recording this video for you, this brings me so much joy to know that you're going to watch this, to know that I am dismantling your belief around being a high performer and helping you see things in a new way so that you can unlock your full potential. Like, this is what I actually love. If you're a friend listening to this, I love you too. Don't you worry, but you know me, I love my biz stuff and the impact I'm making. So, high performers don't work in isolation, right? They're not these like crazy, wacky individuals doing things on their own. Um, and they really understand the importance of community. They understand the importance of surrounding themselves with the right people, and they know that they don't have to do this work and stuff in isolation. And ultimately, that is a choice that they are making. So I think that's really important to understand. What was really cool too, so in this book, High Performance Habits, Brendan Burchard, he has done surveys with thousands and thousands of high performers. So he's gotten some really cool data from it to kind of define what makes high performers be really exceptional and helps them stand out from other people. So some of the other points that he mentioned is that, and I've talked about this already, is that high performers, they do tend to be more successful than their peers, but they're also less stressed. Like, what a mind blowing concept. And again, this goes against everything that we know and believe about high performers. We think that they are the people who are really stressed out. They're under so much pressure and they are, just not great to be around because they're just under so much pressure all the time. And I thought that learning about this fact was really eye opening because, again, goes to show you that high performers aren't just people who are achieving, but they're also feeling better than the average Joe and average person as they achieve. And I think that that is a really eye opening insight to have. Being a high performer isn't just about getting stuff done, but it's about getting stuff done and feeling good as you do it because that is possible. High performers have also been labeled to just be more confident about their ability to achieve their goals. And I think that that is a really powerful insight to have. I always tell some of my friends that I'm very delusional when it comes to achieving my goals. And I always like to say that I have these big goals and I'm super delusional about them. I specifically have one friend and she'll ground me and be like, "Hey, what is your delusional plan?" Right? If you want to be delusional, cool, but build that plan around it. I'm just like, great, you need a delusional plan. So it's about learning how to be more confident in your abilities. And honestly, the way that you do that is you do hard things. And over time, that's how you really build your confidence in your abilities. But start trusting and start having faith in yourself that you can get through hard things and you can get things done. Another really cool thing he found is that high performers tend to be healthier than their peers. Again, very eye opening. We just would never think that what constitutes someone as a high performer is the fact that they are healthier than the average person around them. So I just think that health piece and well being piece is just really eye opening. And I really hope that as you work on becoming a high performer, you're not just focusing all on the mindset stuff, but you're also looking at how you are supporting your body because clearly that plays a really big role in how you show up. I would recommend that you take my What Type of High Performer Are You quiz. It's in my bio, and really uncover what your high performer type is and start learning how to support your unique high performer brain. Because when you start to learn how to support your brain with nutrition, movement, sleep, supplements, it allows you to increase your well-being and it helps you be a high performer that much more. Now, the other piece that correlated with this is that high performers were noted to be happier, were noted to have more joy in their life. And I think that this is so important. And I often forget about this as well, but I always try to look for moments of joy in my day. And it doesn't mean you have to go out and do something extravagant and big. Earlier today, I took a break in the middle of my day. I went on a 10-minute walk, and then I grabbed my book and I went to sit at the park close to my building. And I just sat there and read for 15 minutes. And that moment just felt like a pure moment of joy and calm and peace. And sometimes, again, I forget this as well. And I was like, you know what? Life is okay. Life feels good. And it's important that you are finding moments of joy throughout the day because you're trying to achieve for a reason, and you don't have to wait to experience joy at the end of something. And joy is something that you can cultivate now on an everyday basis. High performers are also people who have mastered the art of influence and encouraging other people, and they're very often admired by the people around them. So, something I want you to think about are the people that you look up to in your life that you know around you, and start to see if they're a high performer. Because if you admire them and respect them in some sort of way, it's probably because they are. And again, high performers don't have to be people who are necessarily making millions of dollars or impacting millions of people. A mom can be a high performer, teacher can be a high performer, and there are people, everyday high performers all around us. And I mean, really, everybody is a high performer. That's what I always emphasize. It's just about understanding the type of high performer that you are. Another key factor that really distinguishes high performers from other people is that they're in it for meaning. So when you think about the actions that you do, or when you go to work, why do you do these things? Yes, it's to get the paycheck, but start connecting with the meaning, to the meaning of the actions that you're taking on an everyday basis, and start connecting with your purpose. Because when you are purpose driven, it allows you to really persevere through your challenges, and it really allows you to be consistent with things long term. High performers are also people who express themselves, their ideas, and they stand up for themselves. And I think this is a really important trait and quality to have. What I think is important to emphasize about this is that high performers aren't people who stand up for themselves in a way that makes other people feel bad, but they stand up for themselves in a way that is respected to them, respectful for them, respectful for the people around them. And it's more so they stand up for themselves in a way where they are sharing their feelings for the people, to the people around them, instead of more so doing it in a way where they are putting other people down. And the last thing that really makes someone a high performer is their mission and their inner drive to add lots of value to the people around them and to uplift the people around them. I think that this is such a powerful trait of high performers to have, this like inner need and this desire to uplift and help the people be around them better. And again, it's not about nagging, it's not about being mean and putting people down and forcing people to do things they don't want to do, but it's about showing up around other people in a way that adds lots of value and then just stepping away, right? It's not about taking that horse of water, forcing you to drink, none of that stuff, but it's about sharing the value, being inspirational in the way that you embody yourself. Sometimes I think one of the best ways to really inspire and motivate the people around us is for us to embody what we want them to be. I do a lot of work in schools, and me and my business partner Tara, we have a whole other company called All About Mental Empowerment, where we do workshops in schools. And when we do workshops for parents, we always tell them, whatever you want your kids to be, you embody it first. If you want your kids to be healthy, show them what it looks like to be healthy. If you want your kids to have healthy relationships, model what a healthy relationship looks like. I think it's so important that instead of just telling your kids what you want them to do, model it for them. And honestly, this goes for everything. If you are a leader who's a part of a team, model what it looks like to show up to the workplace in a powerful and positive place. Whatever you model, people will pick up on. And ultimately, you set the standards for the people around you. And when you can be the one to set these high standards, to show people what they're really capable of doing and becoming when they support themselves, like, man, that is just so, so incredibly inspirational. So these are the things that make high performers who they really are. And I think the biggest key point to remember and to take away is that high performers aren't people who just achieve and are successful, but they're also people who have higher levels of well-being and happiness and joyness and contentment in their life as well. So don't just focus on the achieving and the doing, but also look at how can you start to feel better about life? How can you bring more joy into your life? And if you are someone who is ready to really become a high performer, to learn how to support your unique brain, I would recommend booking a free 30-minute discovery call with me where I can walk you through the high performer protocol, where you'll work with me one on one for 3 months and you will not recognize yourself by the end of these 3 months.